Thank you. Nearly 20 years ago, the member states of the United Nations came together in this hall and passed a resolution that designated the 27th of January as the International Day of Commemoration in memory of the victims of the Holocaust. This resolution committed the United Nations to Holocaust remembrance and education, and it tasked the United Nations to create and facilitate opportunities for learning and reflection about the Holocaust, to counter anti-Semitism, to counter bigotry.
Peace TV reporters have been active at the UN headquarters since 2010, the age of former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. They are often invited to gather pictures and news about high-level meetings and events at the UN headquarters. We usually report live on the scene the events of dozens of countries, including the US, France, the UK, Israel, Germany, Russia, Egypt, Kuwait, Bulgaria, Ukraine, and Morocco, and the EU at the UN headquarters and their residences in New York. Our news reports have, in part, kept the international community up to date with the work of different governments so that people everywhere will know the great efforts and contributions of the UN to world peace, international affairs, and multilateralism.
Let us speak out for human rights and the dignity of all. Let us never lose sight of each other's humanity and never let down our guards. To all who confront prejudice and persecution, I say clearly, you are not alone. The UN stands with you, and to all those past and present who have had the courage to share their stories of the Holocaust so the world can know the truth, I say thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General. His Excellency, Mr. Dennis Francis, the President of the 78th session of the General Assembly, is unable to join us in person today, but we are pleased to be able to share this recorded message.
Nearly 8 decades ago. Today, those who tragically perished and the survivors are the powerful animating force behind all we do at the United Nations to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, to promote and defend human rights, and to work relentlessly for a more just and peaceful world. It is true, as Elie Wiesel observed, that for the dead and the living, we must bear witness. Promoting the memory and education about the Holocaust is therefore essential to ensuring that the crime of genocide is never seen as either normal or justifiable in any circumstance, and therefore to work towards ensuring that it is never repeated. The harrowing stories of the survivors and those who risked their lives to save them play a central role in our collective remembrance of this dastardly episode in human history.
Seeing the corpses of children and babies strewn across the lawns of her community. Her son was murdered. Her daughter's grandchildren and great-grandchildren were taken hostage. She survived humanity's darkest moment, and what she experienced on October 7th was, in her own words, a genocide. Hamas Nazis came to murder Jews as if we are subhuman. Hamas came to exterminate us, and they have sworn to repeat these horrors again and again and again until Israel and the Jews are destroyed. Every Jew is murdered. Ladies and gentlemen, to this day, no UN institution has condemned. Every year year we dedicate this day to discuss the surging Jew hatred poisoning the world. And this year, the year in which the largest number of Jews were massacred since the Holocaust, anti-Semitism has risen to heights not seen since the Nuremberg laws. We can only draw one conclusion, a sad conclusion. The UN has failed in its mission. Has failed. I will not stand here and list all the UN's shortcomings in combating anti-Semitism. I will not discuss the singling out of Israel at the Human Rights Council, the bias of the WHO, or all other UN bodies. It's plain and clear. If you count the number of UN resolutions and condemnations, it's obvious that Israel, the only vibrant liberal democracy in the Middle East, is the #1 threat to world peace. But we know what we are outside of this building. We know very well. And I pray here today, I pray that one day the UN will cease its indifference, cease its lies, cease siding with terrorists, that the UN will stand by Israel's side, stand by its founding ideals. We, the Jewish people, understand the meaning of genocide more than any other people. We have been persecuted for millennia, and Hitler seared the meaning of genocide into our DNA. But on October 7th, Hamas tore open that.
Together with the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the State Department has facilitated a variety of exchanges with Holocaust educators on curriculum development and teaching. Through remembrance, we honor the millions of Jews and others who suffered and perished, reinforcing the commitment to building a world where tolerance, diversity, and respect prevail over bigotry and hatred. Since October 7th, terrorist attacks on Israel by Hamas and its allies, a tidal wave of anti-Semitism, including Holocaust distortion, has swept across the globe.
Ich bin sehr bewegt, dass ich heute beim Internationalen Gedenktag in Erinnerung an die Opfer des Holocaust als Überlebender und Vertreter von Sinti und Roma vor den Vereinten Nationen sprechen kann. Dies ist ein wichtiges Zeichen der internationalen Anerkennung des vergessenen Holocaust an Sinti und Roma und der über Jahrzehnte hinweg ignorierte und verleugnete wurde, bis heute noch viel zu wenig im Bewusstsein unserer Gesellschaft verankert ist. Wir gedenken heute den Verfolgten, den Ermordeten und Überlebenden des Holocaust.
Andre butiam entrade e cascabel mukel kere henelake vaslufte henelake vaslufte
Our grandparents fled to Lvov, now Lviv, to avoid deportation to Siberia. the Russians ordered father to work in the factory. Even though the Russians took away our home, our parents' careers, and grandfather's business, we were not afraid for our lives. That changed when the Germans came to Złotów on July 1st, 1941. We learned a new word, Aktion, Jew hunt. The Germans ordered father to continue working in the factory. This gave him access to the factory building and access to information. We rushed to the tunnel. The Yeluchowice forest next to us became the execution ground for the remainder of Złotów Jews.
Thank you, cantor, singer. You're excellent. Remain in your seats for a few minutes as we wait for the Secretary General and our esteemed speakers to leave the hall.